Ah, good morning and happy Friday, everyone. Um, so, gosh. Oh, my computer's loading because, I have a Hot Ones episode to talk about today. Yeah, we got a bonus Hot Ones episode. And the guest was the man, the myth, the legend himself, Ludacris. Yeah, that was my high for yesterday. Like, Ludacris, having just performed in the Super Bowl just a couple months ago, yeah, okay. I can watch something featuring Ludacris. It's Ludacris. Of course, I have to talk about my low and active times as well. Let's see, what was my low? I guess my low is yesterday, while I did see my family, which is part of my high, I didn't really see them that much. I mean, ever since my grandmother died, they've been seeing my grandfather a lot lately, which, it makes sense. I'm not judging them for that. It's just, I think, like, I spent maybe about 5 minutes at most with my mom yesterday. But, I got to see her. And I'm going to be seeing her a little bit today, so that's not a problem at all. Especially when there's something I need to pick up from my mom to use for tomorrow. But I'll talk about that when we get there. My act of kindness was... What was my act of kindness? Well, I did some banking for my family's shop. I did that. What else did I do? Yeah, that was really about it. Honestly, it was a pretty quiet day, aside from the Hot Ones episode, which I will be talking about right now. Let me get my notes out because that's the problem with these bonus episodes of Hot Ones. Like, I have to legit sort of rearrange everything during my day just so I can get the notes written. And in case anyone's wondering, yes, I do legit write out the question and, write out the answer too, and therefore explain it. So, did I really spell that word? Oh my god, I'm sorry, I gotta fix something. I can't believe I actually spelled that word wrong. Yeah, unfortunately, I also make a lot of typos when I do these notes. I mean, a few things, though, I definitely can tell what I meant to write. But every time I write a typo, it really bothers me. In fact, literally, my first typo, I spelled young with a T instead of a Y. That I just fixed right now, so there you go. Why would I write the word young? Because the first question Sean asked was, is rap still a young person's game? He was asking Ludacris if that was the case. And here's the thing. Hip-hop is one of those things where in the beginning it was like, it's here today, but it's going to be gone tomorrow. Like a lot of the great things that exist, like Harry Potter, for instance. And, like, the stereotype is, it was a young person's game. But considering that hip-hop as a whole is like 50 years old, and therefore you have lots of people growing older with it, it's really about coming out with products that are meaningful and honest, and therefore long-lasting. So, there are definitely young people still in the game, but no one's ever going to ignore the classics, like from Ludacris, or Eminem, or 50 Cent, like those guys. He talked about what goes into a Super Bowl halftime show. Like, there's thousands of people involved. It's difficult to let any of the secrets slip. He talked about the unexpected technical challenges when it comes to propelling down the roof of the Georgia Dome while performing. And that's making sure that the antenna and microphone was as powerful as they need to be. Because remember, like the reach of like the sound from an antenna or microphone, that can only reach so far in a big stadium like the Georgia Dome. You gotta really make sure everybody can hear you. Let's see. The goal, they talk about the goal of an intro song, which is to capture attention immediately. And that's to set the tone for the rest of the album. And when it came to Ludacris making his release therapy as well as other albums, he didn't want to be categorized in the male solo artist category. Again, with the likes of people like Eminem, that he said, basically, release therapy was his means of trying to grow and evolve from what he normally is associated with. Like, you get album of the year, it's clearly because you're trying something different, unexpected, but also fun, engaging, meaningful, and honest, like I just said earlier. So that makes sense. In fact, what I just talked about, this question goes into the next one, is does he agree that the 2000s was the hardest era of hip-hop ever? And yes, because it wasn't just like censors were trying to get in the way or like people were complaining. It's, again, that process of trying to grow and evolve your craft to make it better, to keep the audiences you have currently, but also try and reach new audiences in a way that's smart, clever, and entertaining. Like, you know what? I could make a case that I'm doing that with every video I do. I mean, remember in the very beginning, it was just me sitting at my desk back when I lived at my parents' house, and I was just holding my camera phone like this? Now look at me. You actually get to see my body, the whole range of motion. You get to see me, do things I never would have done in the beginning. It's nice I can actually look back on where I started. I mean, again, I still can't look at my old stuff, but I can definitely appreciate where I came from. So, yeah. He had to fact check a few things, such as Justin Timberlake cursing him out at the Grammys for celebrating too much. Which, yes, that's true, but it's not like he was yelling at him. It's not like he was mean-spirited. He's just, bro, calm down a little bit, okay? He buys a car off the set of every Fast and Furious film until they started shooting in the UK, until when the wheel was on the right side. Ben Stiller did, in fact, seek Luda's approval to use Get Back in Tropic Thunder for Tom Cruise's dance scene. In fact, not only did Ludacris approve of it, Ben Stiller invited him, Ludacris that is, to watch the movie before it came out. So, mad respect for Luda. He talked about how when it comes to getting music played on the air, on the radio, it's all about the team. It's about being humble and understanding how the game is played. Like, there's lots of people that go into making music out on the radio. And then Sean asked if he remembers where he heard, What's Your Fantasy on the radio for the first time. And he was in the same room as his competitor's station was playing his song, if that makes sense. Like, he's in one radio station, but the competitor of the other radio station was playing Luda's song, if that makes sense. Which, bro, that makes you famous. Your song ought to be playing on the radio. That's awesome. He defined what dynamic simplicity is, which basically you take the time to perfect what's an otherwise very simple task. You know, don't overcomplicate what it is you're already doing. You know, in the case of what Luda does, it's keeping the humanization in music. Again, growing and adapting. And he talked about how writing in the car is part of his creative process. He refers to it as the safe zone. That's pretty cool. Personally, I can't write. Like, I thought I outgrew getting car sick, but if I read or do anything in the car, I do get a feeling of being nauseous in the car. I've never thrown up in a car. Never done that. But I have been, like, car sick before. Sorry, let's see. I had to yawn just now. He talked about how the craziest stunt he ever seen on the set of a Fast and Furious movie was anything that Paul Walker, rest in power, Paul Walker, did. He actually has been to the Gimsey Honda, which is the private Benny Honda in the back of Tyrese's backyard. Like, Luda talked about how, like, he actually goes to Benihana, hires those chefs, and pays them more than Benihana would. Which, you know what? I've never been to a Benihana per se, but I have been to a hibachi restaurant where they took the thing right in front of you through the knives and stuff like that. I have seen that before. And it really is cool. Horseheads actually has one of those. I've never been to that one, though. But I have been to one of those before. He talked about comedy icons, because, I mean, yeah, Luda's a great lyricist and songwriter, but he's also funny. And you can't have, I'm sure a person can be funny without comedy icons, but Luda has several comedy icons, including Richard Pryor, who, no kidding, Richard Pryor was Ludacris's fifth cousin. That's insane, dude. Obviously, he mentioned Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, no problems here. And those are just like a few that came to the top of his mind. And then Luda talked about the role of comedy in hip-hop. Because a lot of people get the idea that, like, hip-hop and rap have to be hardcore and serious and, badass. Which, yeah, a lot of that stuff, a lot of rap and hip-hop is. But, there's also a comedic side to some rap, too. Like, you gotta bring all of the sides into circulation here. Like, yeah, rap can be entertaining if it's hardcore. But, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Try a little bit of comedy in there, and you'd be surprised. Here we go. The Mount Rushmore of Luda guest verses, which was The Last Dab. Which, by the way, Luda actually liked The Last Dab. Like, he could feel heat, and he admitted he felt heat, but he didn't even flinch. More on that in a minute. So his Mount Rushmore of Luda, basically if Luda was ever featured on a song with an artist, like that's the guest verse. He talked about the verse there with Sierra O, Nas, and the 2 times he did it with Usher for Lovers and Friends, and Yeah, which, I mean, come on, I could do Luda's guest verse from Yeah right now. That's how much I love that song. So anyway, that was a great episode. And then, because there's, bonus clips at the end of the episode sometimes. And for this one, Luda and Sean were talking about how, he remained unfazed by, the bomb and stuff. And then Luda's like, wasn't it Billie Eilish that didn't really flinch at this? It was some girl that did. And then Sean corrected her, it was Jenna Ortega. Seriously. And then Sean just started spitting, naming names of, who never flinched. Jenna Ortega, Lorde. But what surprised Luda the most, and I remember this episode very well, was Halle Berry. Luda's like, what? I think, if I remember correctly, during Halle Berry's episode, it got to the point where Sean's like, "Are you okay?" And then Halle Berry's like, "I'm eating my dinner." Like, it's Halle Berry. If she says she's eating her dinner, she is going to eat her dinner. That came out wrong. Basically, Halle Berry is a queen. We respect the queen, and we do not question her methods. That's what I was supposed to say. So yeah, this is a great Hot Ones episode, and it was a great bonus episode. I mean, I guess this is season 23, episode 14. I'll take that. The more Hot Ones, the better. And hey, now we have 1 week less until we get to season 24. I mean, at the moment, I'm thinking about who could potentially be on for the next season, because I definitely have a few people that come to mind. But at the moment, I'm glad, again, Shakira, Conan O'Brien, and now Ludacris, that's like a series of great Hot Ones guests in a row. Don't get me wrong, a lot of Hot Ones episodes are great in their own right. But, I grew up listening to Shakira's music. I grew up when Conan O'Brien became really famous. And, come on, man. I literally just said how I could do Luda's verse from Yeah off the top of my head if I really wanted to. I'm not going to do that because I would get copyrighted, but I could do it. So yeah, this is awesome. I hope y'all like this video. If you did like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, on social media. As always, I'm very home with this video. For all of you guys watching Joe Dale, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday. And remember, if you guys want to talk channel, which I'm here to lend you back, take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.